Gotta get through this so I can get back into Hyrule. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, May 19th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Starting off this week, we talked about it a little bit last week, but Mortal Kombat had a little bit more news. We had a full trailer this week, and we got a release date. Mortal Kombat's coming a lot sooner than maybe some of us expected. It's coming in on September 18th, so just a few short months away. I assume we'll get more around Summer Game Fest. Like, I figured this will be part of E3. The WB will want to be talking about that in Suicide Squad sometime soon. And so, yeah, we did get a trailer this week. It seems like this will be continuing where MK11 left off, but it is Mortal Kombat 1, so it is a reboot, but it will be a sequel to it, so sequel, reboot, however you want to call it. It will be kind of continuing in an alternate timeline from where MK11 left off, which, if anybody played that story, and I don't want to get too spoilerific, I definitely left it in a pretty weird and potentially nebulous and don't know where to go from here kind of place, so I could see why they're kind of rebooting it, and there were obviously some fan favorites in the trailer as well, and it's always good to see Shang Tsung stealing people's souls. So I'm excited for Mortal Kombat. I do think that there's a little bit of a concern around Street Fighter being so popular and coming out in just a few short weeks. But I am excited for I'm more excited for Mortal Kombat, having worked there and just liking the story a little bit better. But moving right along, what are a few of those features you think should be in every video game? I think I've talked a little bit before about how you should probably launch with a photo mode. I mean, it's free advertisement for the people who take glorious photos of your game. Creative modes for anything that has kind of a block and generic asset. You can throw out a creative mode, and then that's a potential way for the community to engage with a potentially infinite amount of content. And then if you're a multiplayer or competitive game, you should probably have a ranked mode, maybe not at launch, but sometime soon after launch. I go on this whole diatribe just to kind of highlight the fact that Fortnite will have a ranked mode in the game, which it's been a while. People play in Fortnite tournaments. There's a competitive Fortnite scene and has been for several years. There's a tournament structure that they've built within the game, but no ranked mode until now seems like a little bit of an oversight. Too busy getting that Marvel and Star Wars and all the other IPs kind of mashed in there. Now they got to figure out a way to give the competitive players something to grind for. But yeah, I find this pretty interesting to not have for something that's been so competitive for so long. But now if you've been looking for it, it will be there. So always happy to put Fortnite in the thumbnail of this, so looking forward to seeing what Fortnite ranked mode does to the community and what kind of reaction people have to it. But I'm no longer playing Fortnite, so do with that as you will. Moving right along, we got the slate for this year is starting to fill out. Lords of the Fallen, not the Lords of the Fallen, and not to be confused with the previous title in the series, but Lords of the Fallen wears its Dark Souls inspiration on its shoulder. And yeah, it's very inspired by Dark Souls. We get to see a trailer for Lords of the Fallen with a little bit of gameplay in it, about 4-minute trailer. And it had both a launch date of October 13th. And I swear that some of the voice actors were the same for like Elden Ring. I bet there's just like the deep voice Soulsborne type character, and they can probably cast a pretty wide net and get some people who can just do the, Lord Godric and the Aegenon was the blah, 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 blah. I think you can get those kind of like deep voice, semi-English or upper Highlands kind of accents into your Souls-like. But yeah, I think both in the theme as well as the gameplay, it will play very much. It looks very similar to a Souls-like game. And that's what we saw from the trailer, from like the second half of the 4-minute trailer. So yeah, I'm curious what Soulsborne fans will think of Lords of the Fallen when it comes out in October later this year. Humble has officially started I guess maybe it's a little too early to start calling these like E3 Summer Game Fest showcases, but Humble did its annual showcase. And the main game that I was interested in during the 30-minute showcase was Stray Gods, a game that I originally backed on Fig. I think, not even Indiegogo, but like Fig, that like tier 3 crowdfunding platform. Is now being A, published by them, and B, has a release date. It's launching August 3rd. And it's the RPG musical that has, and I didn't know about the phenomenal voice cast behind it. I think in last year's trailer, you could hear like Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson. But there's a ton of voice actors and actresses in this. And so I am very excited. And I think a couple articles this week talked about you'll be choosing kind of the vibe, and that vibe will actually change the lyrics that are being sung in the songs. So yeah, very excited for Stray Gods and looking forward to seeing more and playing the game this August. So looking forward to that. Moving right along, Overwatch 2 has lost all street cred and any hope that most of the community had because they have officially canceled the PvE mode. I know that a lot of me and my friends wanted to both pick up Overwatch again and play it with each other, but we also wanted to see, that was kind of one of the big promises of why they were slapping 2 on the back of Overwatch, was that there would be this PvE mode. And so the fact that they're killing it now and that it's grown too big and they can't get a handle on it, they won't be able to deliver on it, even though the Halloween event was kind of like a foray into the PvE. Slowly releasing this kind of trail of breadcrumbs, small tastes of what the PvE mode would be like, but they've officially killed it. So I don't think that will bode well for Overwatch and whatever's left of its community. Blizzard's been taking the hits recently. They announced this week that BlizzCon's back on and will be in November, so it'll be interesting what they have to talk to about that. Probably just more Diablo 4 DLC, since that'll probably be their breadwinner this year. But yeah, Overwatch probably not cashing any checks for Overwatch anytime soon, since that PvE mode will not be coming, or they'll sell it to us at a later point when they've got it fully developed. But curious to see how the rest of the community takes that. The Breath of the Wild sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, is off to a great start after only a few days, and according to the article, the first 3 days of sales, the first opening weekend, has already sold 10 million units. That quickly surpasses Hogwarts Legacy for, I think it took them 9 days to get to 10 million units, so a little bit faster than that. Obviously, building off of the success of Breath of the Wild, lots of people are getting into it and playing it and saying that it's going above and beyond and feels a little bit better than Breath of the Wild, which I didn't think so at first, but I'm really starting to get to that point where I'm seeing a lot of the pieces and having fun with it. So yeah, obviously great start for the game. And based on the success of the Mario movie, I also read articles this week talking about that the producers of the Zelda games were starting to have conversations around, hey, maybe we should turn this, big hit IP into a movie or TV series. So yeah, now that we got a Mario movie, highly successful Mario movie, and two hugely successful Zelda games, surprised they are just now thinking maybe we should turn this into a movie or TV show. So hopefully we see that sometime in the coming years. Changing big childhood gaming companies. Sega has made some waves this week, talking about how they're getting more interested in selling their AAA games at $70. I think this is a trend that's kind of been taking the gaming, that's been pretty small in the gaming industry. I had to look it up this week about, I think NBA 2K 2020 was the first game to launch at the $70 price point, but I think the Call of Duty games have been at $70 for the last couple of years. I don't know if the sports games have been, the FIFAs or the Maddens have been $70, but I definitely know that there's been other games that have launched at the $70 price point. And so it'll be pretty interesting to see how Sega finds success in that. it has been a while since the games industry has taken a step up. I think in the early 2000s, Call of Duty again was the first one to jump from the $50 price point to the $60 price point. And we've been in that for over 10 years, and we know that development spend has only increased in that intermediate 2 decades. So yeah, maybe it's time for more publishers to consider that $70 price point. I don't know that many Sega games, maybe the Persona series or some of the other Sega series. I don't know that the most recent Sonic game was necessarily a $70 price point, but hey, I'm not big a Sonic fan that much anyway, so maybe I'm a little biased. But yeah, I'm curious what the rest of the industry will do, and how many more publishers will kind of get to this $70 price point. Speaking of Tears of the Kingdom, the first Nintendo game launching at $70, so it sold 10 million units, so you can quickly do that math of at least $700 million in 3 days, which is wish movies could do that nowadays, but I digress. Speaking of big money, Saudi Arabia has officially bought 10% of EA, and I think this is kind of interesting considering last week I was talking about how EA thinks more acquisitions are coming, and that they're going to start wading into the M&A pool. So the fact that they might get some of that Saudi Arabia, oil money, might not be that hard to put 2 and 2 together, that Saudi Arabia invests and then EA goes and buys something. I don't know what they'd buy at this point. I don't think we're doing something like buying an Ubisoft or something. It's more of like a Microsoft PlayStation kind of acquisition. But yeah, I'm curious what kind of big purchase EA is kind of building up to. So I'll be kind of interested to see where that goes and how that ends up. Slight transmedia opportunity here. Five Nights at Freddy's, the hit animatronic killer animatronic game that you've probably heard about because it's been all over the internet for the past 15 years or so, is getting a movie adaptation. Speaking of video game and movie adaptations, is getting a movie adaptation. The trailer dropped this week, so I'll have a link down below for you to check that out. The only thing I've been able to ask since then is, wasn't there already a Nick Cage movie about killer animatronics that I watched a couple years ago and enjoyed thoroughly? So that's my only response to, I haven't played Five Nights at Freddy's, even though it's been so big. But I could see the movie doing quite well because it's got a younger audience, so I could see a lot of people getting into it. And speaking of Nick Cage, I find it really interesting that we got a little teaser this week that the horror game with almost every horror IP that you can think of in it, Dead by Daylight, is adding Nicolas Cage, and not even like a character Nicolas Cage plays. I thought this might have been a really cool kind of like Renfield play or any of Nicolas Cage's other roles, but no, it just looked like Nick Cage. I don't know if they're gonna get Hellrider in there or something like that. The one question I have is whether or not he's going to be like a killer or a survivor. What kind of character is he playing? But it just looked like Nicolas Cage, so he's going to be running around Dead by Daylight and trying to survive the evil shadow spider that's trying to kill everybody. There's some deep Dead by Daylight lore for you. Yeah, and we're supposed to learn more about what's going on with Nick Cage on July 5th, so hopefully they have, Behavior or Starbreeze has some kind of showcase that they're going to talk about what's coming up to Dead by Daylight during the E3 Summer Games Fest timeframe. So looking forward to that as well. But that's it for this week. If you feel I forgot anything, feel free to leave a comment down below. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, please follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye.